Okay, I want to welcome everybody to a special call meeting of the Board of Commissioners for the Historic Preservation Commission appeal hearing. And first thing I'd like to do is make a motion. Everybody got a copy of the minutes? I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. Any discussion?
Just need a quick review.
No problem.
Okay.
Call the question. Passes 5-0. Okay. Second order of business is the continuation of the hearing that we had on February 20th, 2018, involving the certificate of appropriateness 17-03. And since this was in Commissioner Cupid's district, I'll turn this over to her.
Thank you, Chairman. On February 20th, 2018, the Board of Commissioners conducted an appeals hearing to determine whether the Historic Preservation Committee abused its discretion in approving a certificate of appropriateness for construction of a new 400 square feet, 200-story home on a vacant parcel based on submitted architectural plans. The Board of Commissioners did not make a final decision on the appeal at that hearing, and instead passed a motion that placed the subject appeal under advisement from each commissioner and their county attorney. That advisement would result in a decision to be announced at a continuation of that hearing during today's zoning hearing or after today's zoning hearing. The decision today is rendered following the board's consideration of proceedings before the Historic Preservation Committee on December 11th, 2017, proceedings before this board on February 20th, 2018, and the submissions of both parties. As a result of advisement, the board has decided to reject the Historic Preservation Commission's decision and to remand the matter back to the Historic Preservation Commission. The Board of Commissioners found that the Historic Preservation Commission did not apply the correct legal standard for new construction and thus abused its discretion. An undisputed transcript of the December 11th, 2017 Historic Preservation Commission hearing vote recorded that the approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness was based on the Secretary of Interior Standards of Rehabilitation Standards, Standard 3, which provides the proposed structure does not create a false sense of history. Standard 9, the structure is different from the old but comparable in size and scale. And Standard 10, the setting will not impair the district's environment, and this was pulled from the Appellant's Exhibit 10. Cobb County Code Section 66-83 provides, when considering applications for certificates of appropriateness to existing buildings, the Secretary of the Interior Standards of Rehabilitation shall be used as a guideline along with any other criteria adopted by the Commission. The board finds that the Secretary of Interior's standard of rehabilitation was not the appropriate legal standard for new construction, as our code expressly provides that the use of the Secretary of Interior standard of rehabilitation is for existing buildings. Instead, the board finds that the Certificate of Appropriateness should have been issued in accordance with legal standards described in Cobb County Code Sections 66-82 and 66-85. On remand, the Historic Preservation Commission is to apply the legal standard identified in Section 66-85 and determine whether the proposed material changes in appearance would have a substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historic, or architectural significance and value of the historic property or the historic district. In reaching a decision on remand, the Historic Preservation Commission should consider relevant factors and resources identified in the code for reaching a determination. For instance, Section 66-82 further provides Relevant factors to consider, which include whether the structures conform in design, scale, building materials, setback, and landscaping to the character of the district. We believe that this ought to be considered notwithstanding that the Historic Preservation Commission has not adopted design guidelines. The Historic Preservation Commission is also expected to consider factors and resources as provided in Section 66-85A, or as may be customary in the field of historic preservation. The Historic Preservation Commission may, but is not required to identify factors considered or resources utilized. Consistent with Section 66-85A, if the Historic Preservation Commission determines that the proposed changes would not have a substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historic, or architectural significance and value of the historic property or historic district, the Historic Preservation Commission shall issue and approve a new certificate of appropriateness. Consistent with Section Code 66-86B, if the Historic Preservation Commission determines that the proposed changes would have substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historic, or architectural significance and value of the historic property or historic district, the Historic Preservation Commission shall deny or reject their certificate of appropriateness. If the commission rejects the application under Section 66-90A, it shall state its reasons for rejection, transmit a written record of the same to the applicant, and may suggest alternative courses of action. If the application is rejected, the applicant may make modifications to the plans and resubmit the application at any time. This concludes our finding as rendered on the 20th day of March, 2018.
Who says a motion in effect, right?
Yeah.
So if you go ahead and make a motion in effect, Commissioner.
Okay. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt this final decision on the appeals hearing held February 20th, 2018.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.